By the time you're done watching this video, you're going to know how to personalize 1,000 emails with AI, why you would do it, when you would do it, and how you will do it. I'm going to be doing this step by step with a live example here, and it's just going to take 15 minutes to do that. Our AI personalization is basically the key in helping our clients close new high-ticket clients for them on a monthly basis. And this is with freezing cold prospects. So this isn't with warm prospects or anything like that. If you want to know why you would be listening to me, we are Axel Leads. I'm Sergio, the founder at Axel Leads. We've sent over 1 million cold emails, booked hundreds of calls for our clients, Smart Lead certified. If you don't know what Smart Lead is, it's one of the biggest cold email sending tools that are out there. And we have gotten a ton of great results, which you can pause and look at here if you are interested in looking at those. But I want to get right into what I'm doing to get these clients of ours high ticket new clients. And by high ticket, I mean like $4,000 MRR or more. Okay, so basically it's a 3-step process, which I'm going to be getting into in this video with a real life example. And the whole thesis that this video in particular is around is a call that I had with a founder last week who helps SaaS companies do competitor research, which I thought was a really interesting offer, but he wasn't getting results with his cold emails. And basically every single time I meet with somebody to help them with their cold emails, it's the same story where they've tried it in the past and they haven't gotten results. And in this case, I'm going to be very specific about why this person in particular wasn't getting results and how we would fix that for them. So here's essentially the copy that he's been sending out. It's something like, "Hi John, do your sales reps get questions a lot like, how is Google different? Google being a placeholder. Why should I choose Google over competitors? How does Google stack up against XYZ? These questions can be hard to answer if you don't have compelling up-to-date intel on competitors, and bad answers lead to lost deals. We help tech companies source intel on competitors and win more deals by enabling product, market, and sales teams. Is this something you need help with in 2025? Thanks." So clearly this copy is not bad at all, but there was a glaring issue from the very beginning, and it's that it has no personalization. If you look back, if you were to reach out to the right person at Google about this, just saying like, how does Google stack up against XYZ probably isn't going to be compelling. It's not going to stand out in the inbox. It has no personalization. It's well written, yes. It has a decent offer, yes. But it's also clearly an email blast, so it is also going to be ignored. So obviously we want to avoid getting ignored. And one of the big ways to do that is pretty much necessary in this case, would be some level of personalization. And I'm going to start with a very elementary example of personalization that they could have done instead. So instead of saying, how does Google stack up against XYZ? We could say, how does Google stack up against Bing? So just including an actual direct competitor here would obviously make it way more compelling to the recipient, because now it's like a question that they might actually be hearing on sales calls, or conversations that they might be having internally about how Google can, compete against a direct competitor like Bing. When I brought this up to this founder in particular, he was like, yeah, I've kind of thought about that, maybe hiring a VA to do this research, maybe like filling in a column of all the competitors. And, you could do that. You could have a VA go and look at all the prospects, maybe have ChatGPT help them so that it's faster to come up with a competitor for each one of these. But it's still unnecessarily time consuming. It's still expensive because your VA could be doing higher leverage things, and it's still minimal personalization. Just swapping out XYZ for Bing is an improvement, but it's not really the best that it could be. And if you're going to be talking with us, then we want to be sending the best thing that we can possibly send. So essentially, how do you do personalization effectively, quickly, and with minimal costs? And the first step probably doesn't make sense. It's probably a little counterintuitive, but stick with me. First step that you do to send cold emails that don't just look like AI wrote it is that you have to actually forget about AI in the first step. Basically, you don't want to think about scalability before actually finding out what works. And this is just across the board. People start thinking about their own limitations and they start creating mental filters before they actually go and go to market with a strategy. So that means that they have a very watered down offer or a very watered down strategy because they don't know what they can and cannot do. So they create their own mental blocks, their own filters. They think about how are we going to scale this before they think about what the actual best thing to send is. So please, before you start, doing anything with AI, forget about AI and instead focus on the core message that you want to send out to somebody. So basically the way you do that is step 2, which is to write a handwritten email to one prospect. Preferably your dream prospect from that list. Why your dream prospect? Because your list is going to be relatively imperfect no matter how much you craft it or you curate it. But there's somebody on that list that you really, really want to speak to. You definitely want to resonate with one person on that list, because if you write it with 1,000 people in mind, again, you're going to be thinking about scalability. You're going to be doing these mental blocks that won't make sense for one person. And you also have to remember that cold email is one-to-one communication. Even if you're able to automate your sends, you have to think about it as one-to-one communication. It is the only way that you get cold email to work. So you have to think about who you are reaching out to. You have to have one avatar in mind, and you write an email to that specific avatar. So you want to do your research on that one specific prospect. What makes that specific prospect especially uniquely qualified for your offer? Like, why is your offer something that makes sense to send out to them? And what did you notice about their company in particular that makes you reaching out to them justified? This is actually just the normal way to reach out to somebody one-to-one, and it's incredibly important, and I cannot stress this enough. It's one-to-one communication, so treat it as such. So how does this look in practice? Let's go back to that example. Instead of saying, "Hi John, do your sales reps get questions like, how does Google stack up against Bing?" We would want to say something instead like, "It's clear that Google's algorithm that prioritizes contextual relevance is a huge advantage over Bing." So now this is extremely specific to why Google is better than Bing. But wouldn't it be helpful to know what they're working on in the background in real time so that you can stay ahead? So this is still the same competitor intel angle, except now we are saying, hey, I can see why people would choose Google over Bing today, but what about what Bing is working on right now that would actually give them an edge over you? Wouldn't you want to know this? So this is much, much more compelling because, of course, anybody who is working on the product team at Google wants to make sure that they have an edge over their competitors, and the best way to do that is to have competitor intel. So in order to do this without AI, you have to do this manual personalization, of course. So basically the way you would do this is you would visit your prospect's website, in this case, Google. You would try to understand what they do. In this case, they're a search engine. You would try to understand who their competitors are. So you might use ChatGPT and be like, hey, who are Google's top competitors? And it will tell you Bing, for example. And then you figure out how they are better than their competitors. So you go and be like, okay, how is Google better than Bing on Google? and figure out what their nuanced differences are. And then you're like, okay, well, it looks like this is one of your advantages over this competitor. And so, then you call that out in the email. This, of course, is a whole lot more work than just saying, how does your company stack up against your competitor? But your chances of getting a response is conservatively 10 times higher. So if you want to actually get results with your cold emails, and you want to not be like almost everybody who I speak to initially, which is people who have tried cold email in the past and they haven't gotten results, this is one of the key things that you can do to actually stand out in the inbox, to not look like spam, to actually treat email like it should be treated, which is one-to-one communication. What is specific about this prospect that makes your offer make sense for them? What is something you noticed about them? And how would you apply your offer specifically to them? That is how people communicate one-to-one. So if you treat it as an email blast, people are going to ignore you, or more likely they're going to mark you as spam, which means you're not going to be landing in the primary inbox, even if you did all of that initial set up with the SPF and DKIM and DMARC and all that kind of stuff that you have to do to get your emails and the warm up and all of that to make sure that you're landing in the primary inbox. People come to me telling me that their reputation scores are going down, that their emails are not getting replies anymore, etc., even though they set everything up properly. This is the reason. If people are not resonating with your message, then they are going to mark you as spam, or they're going to ignore your email, which is going to send signals to Gmail, to Outlook, that you are sending something that is irrelevant content, and therefore you are not going to be landing in the primary inbox, and also people are just not going to be interested in your offer in the first place. So the issue with going about doing it this way is that, of course, manual outreach is going to be 100 times slower than automated outreach. The first email, the one that the founder that I spoke to was sending, was obviously something that could be sent out to 1,000 people, and it would kind of make sense for everybody, but not really resonate with anybody. This approach is obviously going to be 100 times slower. It's obviously going to be outdated, and this is obviously where AI tech comes in. A lot of people I've spoken to have heard of clay.com, but if you haven't, this is one thing that I'm going to be walking you through in this video, just showing you how easy and simple it is to be able to do this level of personalization using AI in a way that doesn't sound like a robot emailed you. So I'm going to be walking you through exactly how I would make this happen. And before we go into that, basically what I'm going to be doing is step number 3 for the purpose of this video. Step number 3 is how to automate your handwritten email. So you want to write a handwritten email to one prospect. You want to write it to 3 or 4 ideal prospects. And the reason you want to do probably more than just one is because just because something makes sense for one person doesn't mean it's going to make sense for another person. But you're going to start noticing a pattern the more handwritten emails that you send with this specific offer. And that pattern is going to define your template. So people always want templates that convert in cold email, but the truth is templates never really work in cold email. We don't really use templates. We use frameworks that we want to make sure that all of our emails check. So we check all the check boxes, but we don't actually use a specific template because it doesn't work. Every single offer is different. Every single reason you would be reaching out to somebody is different. So hopefully this video can help you come up with some ideas for yourself. So now is the time where I'm going to be walking through step number 3. I'm going to be doing it for an offer where I do competitor pages for companies, SaaS companies in particular. And I'm going to be using trykit.ai as my avatar because this is just a tool that I was looking into this morning. So it's just the one that's top of mind for me. So trykit.ai, they are an email finder and verifier. You can see why I would be looking into them today. Unlimited, free. It says here that they work better than competitors. Basically, they're faster. They're 2 to 5 times faster than alternatives, and they're cheaper, free for individual users. Higher volume users can guaranteed capacity paying for 75% less than with the competitors. So 75% less than competitors, that's obviously something that is amazing for me. So, I'm interested in their offer in particular. So I'm going to write an email like I'm writing an email to Kit. So basically I would say, hey, first name, I'm just going to say, hey, John, I'm reaching out to you because I see that you're better, faster, and cheaper than other email finders out there. Unfortunately, when doing research, I wasn't really able to clearly see how it compares to Lead Magic and Find Email, which are direct competitors of theirs that I just know because of the top of my head. We build comparison pages for SaaS companies like Kit that explain these benefits to push them to become new users. Can I send over some examples of these competitor pages and their conversion results? I'll even send our step-by-step process, which includes competitor intel, so you can gauge if it's worth your time. Any interest? Oh no, I already had a CTA. Just say, let me know. Thanks. Okay, so that's an email that I would send out to Kit, explaining to them how a competitor page can help them increase their conversion results. Instead of, pitching something, this is just like a little crash course on copywriting. Our CTA isn't just like, can I get on a call with you? It's saying, can I send over some examples so that they themselves can see if this is something that's going to be beneficial for them. I'm also letting them know that they would get a step-by-step process, which includes competitor intel so that they can see if it's worth their time. So not asking for a call at all, just wanting to show them that this is something that would be beneficial to them, and they can see that for themselves, and they will see all the results of other companies that have gotten great results. And of course, if this is something that's interesting to them, then they will reach out. So that's kind of the idea here. Basically, let's see, the reason that I'm reaching out to them in particular is because they have they have an edge over their competitors, which is that they're better, faster, and cheaper than other email finders out there. It's not clear how it compares to Lead Magic and Find Email. So they do mention on their website that it's 75% cheaper than the competition. It's 2 to 5 times faster. It's better for some reason. So what I'm talking about here is, of course, if you are looking for an email finder out there, you might have seen Find Email, you might have seen Lead Magic, you might have just come across Kit, and you want to know which one's going to be the one that makes the most sense for you. You can mention on your website that you are better than the competition, but what better way than like clearly laying out to somebody that how you are different than actually making a page that is dedicated to talking about how you're different. So you can see Zoom here has a page dedicated to how they are different and better than Skype, for example, and they go into all of the details, so that if somebody's like, okay, but I thought Skype was the right solution here, why is everybody moving over to Zoom? Zoom makes that very clear right here, and it seems like Kit could really benefit for this. So if I make pages like this for companies, then I would make this page for Kit so that people have all of the evidence that they need that this is the right move for them. So it's really to push them over the edge. All right, so people don't have a really clear way to do that right now. So that's the pain point. I'm explaining the offer here, a soft CTA that explains why they would be interested in it. So this is the email I would send to Kit. This is a handwritten email. I'm not thinking about AI yet. I'm not thinking about scalability. Instead, the best next step would be to write another email, this time for a different ideal prospect, and seeing what that would look like. And then you start to notice a pattern, right? For the sake of this video, so it doesn't go on forever, I'm just gonna go ahead and make this a template out of this. So basically it's, hey, first name, I'm reaching out to you because, reach out, reason, basically. Unfortunately, when doing research, I wasn't able to clearly see how it compares to competitor 1 and competitor 2. We build comparison pages. Okay, and then the rest will be templated. So you can see where the AI comes in is the reason to reach out, the justification for reaching out, and the 2 specific competitors that we are calling out. So we're going to use the same template that we talked about earlier, where what we need to make this happen is we need to first find out what the prospect does, find out who their competitors are, find out how they're better than their competitors, write a line reaching out about how they're better than competitors, mention 2 competitors. Okay, so this is just the logic of what we need to accomplish here. Let's go over to figure out like who we're gonna be reaching out to. I'm gonna be using ocean.io just to come up with a quick list of companies that we might reach out to. Ocean.io is a cool way to find lookalike companies. So these are companies that look like TriKit. So if you have a good template for TriKit, then it should be something that makes sense for all of these companies as well. So I'm gonna be getting these people's domains. All right, here's a list of companies that we are going to be including here. So I'm going to be going to clay.com. I'm going to be including the companies that I just got from Ocean. Save and don't run. All right, so I'm going to clean this up. That's the name of the company. There's their domain. That's all we really need. I guess the size will be fine. Keep that. Okay, I don't really need that. So I'll keep that. All right. So here's the data that I need for these. So I have TriKit as one of them, and the rest of them are just other companies that we might be reaching out to. So we want, first of all, the first thing that we need is find out what the prospect does. So I'm going to be sending Claygent, which is an AI research tool, to go find out what the company does. Visit the company's website here. What's it called? Flex href. And find and give me a description about what they do as a company. Okay, that should be, let's just keep it less than a 2-paragraph description. Okay, so I'll just run it for the first 10 columns, of which is a mistake because I should have gotten rid of these. All right, let me delete those. All right, I think it's doing that. So now we're getting a description of each of these companies. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and check this first part, find out who their competitors are. So now we can do another one where we use AI and we say, using the company's description, come up with 2 different ways that the competitor is using the company's description here. Call out 2 different direct competitors for these companies. You search Google and to identify who these direct competitors might be. Also include a snippet of how this company is different from how this company is better than alternatives. Here's the name of the company. So we say font medium. That's the name of the company there. And here's their website. And that one was this one. Okay, we'll run that for the first 10 rows. Okay, it looks like we've done all the research that we needed to do here because now we have found out what the prospect does. We found out who their competitors are, and we found out how they're better than competitors. So you can see a specific response here. 2 direct competitors for Kit in the email marketing industry are MailChimp and ActiveCampaign. MailChimp is known for their multivariate testing and versatile marketing tools, making it a popular choice among marketers. Kit differentiates itself from these competitors by focusing on SMTP verification and providing comprehensive studies on email deliverability, ensuring the businesses not only reach their audience effectively, but understanding the nuances of email communication. All right, so this is like so much. So basically you can see here how if you just have AI go and like write an email with a prompt like this, you're going to get this like super wordy, obviously ChatGPT written email, but I'm going to be showing you how we control that now. So instead, we're going to be prompting AI to just write an email first line here. So we're going to prompt it to say, write an email first line using the company's description and mentioning how it is better than alternatives. Do not mention any alternatives here. Keep your sentence true, but not overly detailed, and keep it focused on why this is a justification for us reaching out to them. The sentence should follow the following structure. I'm reaching out to you because I see that you than other out there. Here's a guide for filling in those 2 blanks. Blank 1, how it's better than alternatives. Blank 2, the type of company that this is. So now we have just prompted it. This is without doing any tests, so it's probably not going to be absolutely perfect, but we're also going to be including an example here. So we're going to be doing it for Kit, which is the first example. And I'm just going to be pulling from the email that we wrote over here as the example output that we would like. So there we go. Now we need to make sure that writing using the company's description. Okay, let's use, so there's a company description, and we're going to be using that response here. And also we're going to be letting it use the competitor response that we got. So this is competitor analysis. Now we want to make sure that we also don't make it like too long. So I'm reaching out to you because I see that you're better, faster, cheaper there. Okay, so that's it. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's probably, okay. Be sure that this sentence does not exceed 25 words. All right, let's try it on 5 to see what that output would look like for these companies. I'm reaching out to you. Okay, I'm reaching out to you because I see that you provide more accessible and comprehensive email verification services than other email verification companies. I'm reaching out to you because I see that you excel in enhancing data security and deliverability better than Okay, this is pretty okay. So it still feels a little wordy. Make sure it's not overly jargony and keep it at below a 6th grade reading level. Let's see if that's better. Let's refresh that. I'm reaching out to you because I see that you offer more accessible email verification solutions. Okay, great. Now, these are going to be a little redundant from one another because we did use a lookalike tool to come up with this specific list of prospects that we would be reaching out to. But that was just because we wanted to make sure that this offer made sense for these types of companies. So that's totally fine because it makes sense to each individual company. So now we have this first line, which is specific to each of the companies. And now we just need to get the 2 competitors. So I'll do that really quickly. Extract the 2 competitors mentioned in company competitors response here. Make sure it's the only output is the name of the competitors. Your output should be the 2 companies separated by a semicolon. So let's see if that's going to look right. Yep, perfect. So now we run that on 10 rows. So now we have the 2 competitors, which we got from that research from earlier. And now we can do a quick little formula here to separate them. So company competitors, is 2 values separated by a semicolon. Extract the first value here. All right, and I'm going to copy this because we'll be doing the same thing for the second one. All right, so that's the first value. Perfect. Again, they're going to be redundant because all of these companies should be pretty much competitors. We're going to be doing the same thing here, but we're going to be doing it for the second value here. Okay, so you can push this to a sending email tool, but you can see now that we have the sentence that we need for the first line, and I'll just put that here in its own column. So this is the column. This is the first line that you can pull in as a variable for your email. These is competitor 1 and this is competitor 2. And we just did that for 10 different companies that we might be reaching out to here. But of course we can do that for the entire list or any size list that you would be reaching out to. So that's pretty much it. Now you have the value for this first line. So you can just replace it with, you don't even need this part because we actually put that as part of the prompt. So it just says, hey, first name, reach out reason. Unfortunately, when we're doing research, I wasn't able to see how it compares to competitor 1 and competitor 2. We build competitor pages and the rest of this email. So that is literally all it takes to personalize emails with AI. Of course, I did this in a very, very quick way for this specific use case, just so you could see how easy it is to take your emails to the next level. So instead of saying something super generic that nobody responds to, doing this thing that took me maybe 15 minutes to do on here is going to 100x the responses that you get because people are going to see that what you are sending is actually specifically relevant to them. This is all, of course, assuming that you do have the proper cold email infrastructure set up, that you do know what leads list you want to reach out to, and you already have those leads. So that's, what I did over here. And then you just plug in the leads here. You enrich the company information, and this is the information that you need to make this copy work so that you're not sending the most generic email copy that just looks like everybody else's that is in the spam folder. But this is just an example I wrote up for the sake of this video. If you want to see actual copy that we wrote and we enhanced with AI that actually led to booked calls for ourselves or for our clients with high ticket prospects, then you can actually see that with 20 specific emails that we wrote that converted into calls. That will be linked in the description, and you can just take a look there so you can have some inspiration on what kind of emails you can pull off using AI.